friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alyssa and I'm finally back. I had a little hiatus. So for those of you that have been sticking around, even though I haven't been posting, thank you very much. So today I have a fun video for you all. We're going to be doing another thrift store makeover. I'm really excited to show you guys what I have created because I made some pretty cool things. It started off a little rough and I feel like by the end I had some cute little things that I made. So I'm here to share that with you. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I picked up at the thrift store was this ceramic candle holder that is shaped like a paper bag with a jack-o'-lantern's face cut out in the front. It was super dirty and gross, so I started off by removing the sticker, and I just felt like orange wasn't really the right color for this. I don't know, it just was kind of weird. There was no candy involved with it, and it seemed like it was a trick-or-treat bag. So I don't know, I thought maybe I could revive this and use it for spooky season as some decoration. So I started off by applying gesso to this one. I also picked up this little ducky sculpture. It's a little creepy, but a little cute at the same time. And I don't know, it just called out to me. I saw some potential here, but I did have some ideas for altering this before I painted it. So I actually ended up adding some clay to this piece to change it up a little. So here you can see me adding my little bit of model magic that I had left at my house. It wasn't really enough for this project, so I struggled a little. But I covered his hat with some blobs of clay to hopefully make this look like a little scoop of ice cream on his head. You can also see that I added some extra eyelids onto the duck, but then realized that that was really ugly, so I took those off. I had no idea if this clay was actually going to stick to the surface of this piece, but luckily it did. And I also applied a few coats of gesso to this guy as well. If you watched my last thrift store makeover, you may also recognize this bubblegum machine in the background. I am going to finally be tackling this today too. I did pre-gesso it, so I didn't film myself gessoing it this week because I did it last time, but this will be getting a makeover too. The next thing I picked up was this little cute recipe box. I think it's kind of ugly in terms of looks, but I did like the container. So I gessoed this as well to give myself a fresh start. The last thing I picked up was this wooden bowl. My boyfriend has been wanting to have a little catch-all bowl for our keys and things, so I figured this would be a nice bowl for that. And once again, I added gesso to this as well. Alright, so starting off with the candle holder, I decided to use some model magic to sculpt little candies to add to the bag because it just seemed weird to have a candy bag but no candy involved in the sculpture. I didn't have enough model magic to fill the entire top of the bag, which I wanted to do, so I had to kind of just strategically place them around the edges to fill it up as much as I could. I then went in with this brown color to paint the paper bag because to me it looked like a lunch bag, and lunch bags are brown, not orange. So I colored that in brown, and I then started painting the candies. So I decided to use some pastel colors for this to make it kind of a cute Halloween decoration. It was definitely a bit of an awkward shape to paint, so I did have to go in and do a lot of touch-ups. And I painted the inside as well so that that orange wouldn't show through. I thought it wouldn't, but it really did, and it was really ugly, so I painted it as much as I could. It was an awkward shape to paint. Next, I added some white highlights to the candy to make them look a little bit more shiny. And that's pretty much all I did for this first transformation. I do end up putting a clear coat on it to make it nice and shiny. I'll show you that at the end. So now we're moving on to the duck. I started by painting the scoop of ice cream on her head. It is a nice strawberry color. And I wanted to add some hot fudge on top of this ice cream, so I started off by trying to paint the hot fudge on, and I didn't even wait for the pink paint to dry, so it didn't work, obviously. And so I paused and I didn't continue doing that. Then I decided I wanted to paint the duck this really vibrant yellow color, and I do eventually change it. So this is kind of where I was just not feeling this and having a bit of a mental breakdown. So I decided to come back to it the next day. Alright, so here we are on day 2. Everything was actually dry because I finally waited, and I realized that that yellow color was not it, so I went in with a pastel yellow instead, kind of similar to what it already was, but in order for it to look normal, I kind of had to paint the whole thing. So I painted over that, and I also realized I hated the color of the ice cream because it dried a lot darker than I thought, so I went in with a lighter color for the strawberry ice cream too. Then I had to deal with this nightmare. So I decided to do an entirely different technique for this, and I added the paint super duper thick, kind of like hot fudge really would be, and then I lightly spread it around the surface of the ice cream scoop so that it would organically drip down the sides, kind of like real hot fudge. And luckily this technique turned out a lot better. Next, I started painting the little bandana around the duck's neck, and I wanted this to have an ice cream cone pattern on it so that it kind of went along with the ice cream theme for the duck. So I very messily painted this first, and then because I was changing the color of the duck, I knew that I would be able to go back in and touch everything up. And I painted the beak a nice pastel orange color. Next, I added some blushies to the duck's cheeks to make her look nice and cute. Next, I painted on some eyelashes, but the brush I used for this just wasn't quite right for the job. The eyelashes came out so messy, so I ended up redoing them, but here I am trying to paint them on, and then I added some dramatic bottom lashes as well. And I really thought I ate with this, but like, look how crooked the eyes are. What is that? So I made the executive decision to wipe off the eyes as much as I could and paint it over them because they were not going to work out. I painted the rest of the body pastel yellow to match the head. When it was all dry, I gave this poor duck some new eyes, making sure to sketch them out with a pencil first this time. And I decided to use a Sharpie to draw the eyes because the paint just wasn't working. I didn't have a paintbrush that was accurate enough and thin enough to do this. And I gave the duck some little sad eyes because I love drawing sad eyes, and I also wanted her to be a little bit of a diva. Because of this, I also gave her more dramatic blush, making it under her eyes and up on her cheeks. I painted the inner eye white so it looks a little creepy at the moment, but I do fix it. And I decided to give her a little chocolate teardrop because to me that seems so iconic. I added the waffle cone crisscrosses on the bandana to make it look like a waffle cone. And then my camera died, so yeah, just to kind of finish up here, I added some highlights to the scoop of ice cream on top of the duck's head, and I added some shading to the eyelids to make them look a little heavier. I also added a highlight to the beak, and then to make it look a little bit more obvious that it's a stuffed animal of a duck and not just a duck, I decided to trace all of the seams with a darker yellow because I feel like it just made it look a little bit more three-dimensional. I also added some shading on the head where the ice cream scoop is. I've decided her name is Brenda Brain Freeze. She's sad because she literally has a scoop of ice cream freezing her brain. So moving on to the next makeover, we have my bubblegum machine from the past video that I never really got around to. So I started off by painting the whole thing pink because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with this, but I knew that if I had a nice pink base coat, maybe the idea would come to me. So it did. I decided to add some variation by adding a lighter pink into the crevices of the surface of the gumball machine. And then I added the rest of the colors of the pastel rainbow to these kind of circles. I don't even really know what they are, like buttons, decorations, something of that nature. And I painted the part where you put the quarter in silver because that just made sense to me. I added some highlights and I did a little bit of touch-ups, and that's about it. This is the finished gumball machine. It was probably the most simple of all the makeovers, but I do still really like how it came out. I just don't know what to keep inside of it. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. Next up is the recipe box. So you can kind of see that I did these out of order because of the half-done duck in the background, but just ignore that. So I knew I wanted to do something rainbow on this piece here, but I didn't really know if I wanted a pastel rainbow or a more vivid rainbow. So I started off with a bit more of a vivid one, and I marked out where each of the sections would go for each color to kind of keep it somewhat even, but I did want this to be a very blended gradient rainbow. So here I am blending all of the colors meticulously back and forth just to change my mind and have to repaint it all over again. I do much prefer the pastel color scheme though, so I am glad that I did this. I really liked how it looked when I was done painting the rainbow part, but I really was kind of stumped with what else I should add to it. It felt like it wasn't quite done yet. So I put on this sticker that says "Ask me about my cat," and I took out my dollar store rhinestones, my favorite things ever, and decided to bedazzle this box just a little bit more. So here I am adding those rhinestones all around the trim of the box. I realized the sticker was crooked, so I had to adjust that as well, and I bedazzled the handle of the box. And I have no idea what I'm going to be holding in this box, but it's adorable and I'm going to keep it on my desk. Next, I painted the wooden bowl. I decided to paint a yin-yang design on here because it's going to be used for my boyfriend and I's keys. And I feel like a yin-yang kind of shows my boyfriend and I's style together. He's more into dark things and I'm more into bright and colorful things. So I felt like this was kind of a cute idea and it goes along with our home decor. So I am painting in both sides, and then I decided to change the yin-yang a little bit. Instead of doing circles on each side, I made them into little hearts. I had to do a lot of touch-ups to make sure that the hearts were even, but once I got them fairly even, I covered it with a glossy top coat, and this is the final bowl. And that concludes this week's thrift store makeover. I had a lot of fun creating these this week, and it felt really nice to start making videos again. So hopefully I can get some more regular content out to you guys in the future. I have been adjusting to my new job, but I am planning on making more videos and posting more frequently in the future. So stay tuned for more arts and crafts videos. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.